So I did a video a few weeks ago about how I think Brie Larson is being phased out of the Captain Marvel role, how I feel like Marvel doesn't really want her around too much longer, and that, her time in the Captain Marvel role is probably coming to a close. A lot of other news outlets agree with me. There's a lot of people out there, a lot of scoopers, who also have that information that Brie Larson is not in Marvel's favor right now. They don't want her around because she's just not a moneymaker like everyone else is in the MCU, like all the other actors are who are beloved by all the fans. Brie Larson is just, in my eyes, just not that good of a person. She's not that likable. And also the Captain Marvel character is also not that likable because she's so OP. The only reason, if we're being real, the only reason why Captain Marvel 1 made the money that it made is because it was sandwiched in between Infinity War and Endgame, and she got teased at the end of Infinity War, which was at the time the biggest Marvel movie of all time. It had the most mass appeal. People didn't know who Captain Marvel was, and then they teased her at the end of that movie. Everyone was like, what was that? What was that post-credit scene? What did that mean? What did that mean? Everyone's watching YouTube videos. Everyone's talking to each other through word of mouth and what that meant. And everybody got hyped around this Captain Marvel movie that ended up making not as much money as it should have made for a movie that's sandwiched in between two of the biggest movies of all time. And, I made that video a few weeks ago and everyone's yelling at me saying, oh, this is, clickbait. Captain Marvel is never going to go anywhere. Brie Larson's always going to be Captain Marvel, all this stuff. But all signs point towards Captain Marvel either being phased out of the MCU or Brie Larson being phased out of the Captain Marvel role. Let's get into this video. Let's talk about all these articles that I'm talking about. Captain Marvel out, new binary introduced. This is talking about the comics. Possibly correlating with Doctor Strange 2 and the Marvels, Captain Marvel will be out of the comics with a new version of her cosmic self introduced as binary. Marvel.com recently announced a new binary will be introduced in Captain Marvel 36 and 38 as Carol Danvers goes missing. Bold my own. The last of the Marvels, the current saga heating up with the pages of Kelly Thompson's Captain Marvel run, will come to a cataclysmic end in next week's Captain Marvel 36. The story was packed with developments, blah, blah, blah. The site also teases about the comics. Carol's disappearance has left the newly sentient binary to fill in, but stepping into the shoes of one of Earth's greatest heroes is no easy feat. And we know that they're trying to do that with Monica Rambeau, where she's going to be in Doctor Strange 2 as some version of Captain Marvel. They're doing that where she's going to be some version of Captain Marvel. There's also, everyone kind of hates Brie Larson. I said that in my last video, and then everyone's in the comments like, oh, I love Brie Larson. I love Brie Larson. But you have to realize that most Marvel fans out there, if you know who Brie Larson is, the person, if you ever watched her talk in an interview, if you ever watched how the other Marvel actors and actresses interact with her, no one that's really familiar with her outside of the role of Captain Marvel, outside of her roles inside of movies and TV shows, if you ever listen to her talk, she's a really hateful person, and she really doesn't like people of certain races and certain genders that happen to match up with mine. And if you're really against people's skin color, if you're really against people's gender or sex or whatever you want to call it, then I don't really like you. I don't think you're a good person. It doesn't matter which of them you hate. I don't care if you hate white, black, it doesn't matter. If you're that type of person, I don't like you. You're not a good person, and Brie Larson is that type of person. We also have this article from Cosmic Book News. Brie Larson wraps Captain Marvel 2, excited for the Marvels. And if you don't know, Captain Marvel 2 is not going to be Captain Marvel 2. It's going to be called The Marvels, and that's because they don't want Brie Larson to be the only face of another movie, because it's not a good look. Because the first one, let's be real, it made $1 billion, but it flopped. It flopped for a movie that's sandwiched in between Infinity War and Endgame, the two biggest Marvel movies of all time. It looks as if Brie Larson has finished filming on Captain Marvel 2, as the actress posts to social media she's excited for the release of The Marvels. Not Captain Marvel 2, The Marvels. See When Here Carol tweeted Brie Larson as the flick is set to get released on February 17th, 2023. And not much is known about the Marvels other than the aforementioned release date and the cast, which in addition to Brie Larson includes Samuel L. Jackson, who returns as Nick Fury, Teyonah Parris, who is back from WandaVision as Monica Rambeau, Iman Vellani, who is playing Kamala Khan, who will play Kamala Khan following this Marvel series on Disney+, blah, blah, blah. All these actors, all these actresses. Kevin Feige also replaced the Captain Marvel writing and directing team because obviously the first one wasn't too well received, so it's very smart for him to try to replace the writing and directing team because the first one wasn't too good. Is that title of the sequel doesn't specifically contain Captain Marvel. It doesn't contain Captain Marvel because no one liked Captain Marvel. Not only the movie, but also the person. The character of Captain Marvel is just not that likable because she's so OP. She just shows up after all these years of 20 years of Marvel, and she just can punch Thanos in the face and tank a punch from from Thanos as well. That's crazy, and that's really not the way that you make someone like a character. You don't make them just extremely OP off the bat and expect people to like the character, where you have Iron Man who went through all these struggles to become Iron Man, you know, the beloved Iron Man that everyone loved, and then he actually made the ultimate sacrifice in the end. Captain America, who went through all these struggles, he so much sacrifice, he lost everyone, you know, and then to get his happy ending was a big payoff. Whereas Captain Marvel, she starts off in the happy ending because she's already the most powerful person of all time, and it's just not that interesting of a story, it's not that interesting of a character. And then you add in the fact that Brie Larson is the way that she is, no one really likes her, and it's a perfect storm for flops to come in the future. They got saved for the first movie because it was sandwiched in between Infinity War and Endgame. I don't think Brie Larson and Captain Marvel will be as lucky in the future. What is also particularly interesting is that Marvel Comics are dropping Captain Marvel and will instead be using binary, which might sync up with the MCU, as that could be binary in the recent Doctor Strange 2 trailer, possibly suggesting Teyonah Parris' Monica Rambeau goes from Spectrum to binary to maybe the new Captain Marvel. She probably will end up replacing Brie Larson in the future, because I just don't think that she's going to be around for long, man. I think this next movie of hers is going to flop pretty miserably, even though they're trying to change everything about it. They're trying to change the title from Captain Marvel 2 to The Marvels. They're changing the writing and directing team, and I'm sure that they're trying to change Brie Larson a little bit by saying, let's be a little bit more likable. Let's keep your mouth shut, because that's the only way you can be likable, because if you don't speak, the novelty is not even close to wearing off, Larson told Insider. And then we have this other article, Captain Marvel 2 is not about Brie Larson. It's not, because no one likes Brie Larson. No one cares about Brie Larson, and I don't care about your opinion in the comments. If you like Brie Larson, most people out there, if you've ever seen her actually speak in interviews, you don't like her because she's extremely arrogant, extremely cocky, and she hates certain people of certain skin colors and gender. Recall how rumors have offered that Disney lost confidence in Brie Larson, and we can also add that Kevin Feige dumped the writing and directing team of the billion-dollar hit Captain Marvel, billion-dollar hit, yeah, for sure, and decided against using Captain Marvel in the sequel title, which suggests some kind of trouble regarding the Marvels not being about Brie Larson, which the obvious title suggests, or title change suggests. Variety also goes as far as to say that Miss Marvel will co-headline the movie, adding it will be a small-scale, all-female team-up. Oh, I'm sure that's gonna go over well. I'm sure that'll make a lot of money. We've seen that already with Charlie's Angels and stuff like that. Ghostbusters 2016. These all-female movies, they kill at the box office. They're great. You know, great storytelling. Imagine if the sequels to Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Spider-Man didn't use the respective characters' names. That's pretty big, and it's telling that Disney hasn't been happy with the reception of Brie Larson in the MCU, which is evident by the fact Carol somehow grew her hair back in the Shang-Chi post-credit scene from her butch cut in the Avengers Endgame. That's true. Imagine if No Way Home was just titled No Way Home instead of Spider-Man No Way Home, or you know, Captain America Civil War was not, or I guess Civil War is kind of a bad example because it had a lot of people in it. It could have just been titled Civil War and it would have been a good title, but let's say Winter Soldier. If it wasn't titled Captain America the Winter Soldier, it was just titled The Winter Soldier. That would have been very odd, and I'm sure that we all would have thought that something was going on within Marvel with either Chris Evans or with the Captain America character. We would have thought that something was happening if that was the case. It's also thought that Brie Larson has been attempting to repair her image. Rumors have also offered that Brie Larson didn't get along with her Avengers co-stars. We know that that's the fact. That's a fact for sure. You know, we've seen how they interact, and it's just not how friends interact. It's not how people that like each other interact. Anyway, if you don't think Brie Larson is getting phased out of the MCU, there's a lot of evidence to go against you. But also, at the same time, none of us truly know until it ends up happening. I don't like Brie Larson. I don't care if you like Brie Larson. She's a bad person in my eyes because I don't like racist or sexist. I just don't like those types of people. I think they're bad people. And if you try to defend her actions, then that's not a good look for you either. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about the whole situation. What do you think about Brie Larson getting phased out of the MCU? Brie Larson getting phased out of the Captain Marvel role? If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like on the video. Or if you hate my opinions on this, leave a dislike on the video too. Either way helps out the video. So if you did enjoy the video though, I hope to see your support on the video, and I hope to see you on the next one.